We would like to move on to the Chintai release. Chintai, I think I'm saying that right now.
I could actually stay for this, as I am an advisor.
I think you probably know more than just about everybody here. So they team at EOS42.io. They released a new white paper for a token rental DApp. This is a DApp that has had a lot of demand. Everybody's wondering, how can I make EOS off of my EOS tokens? Well, the answer could be that you could rent them out to developers who need them, who need the bandwidth, and don't necessarily want to buy it. They just want to rent it or lease it. So, you did a lot of advising on this there, Mr. James. Can you tell us more about this?
It's very cool. It is, and it's extremely necessary for the community too, because I think there's this big misconception that people think that the dApps are completely free, and it's not completely free. You have to allocate resources to your contracts. You can either make it pay to play or you can stake it yourself. And a lot of developers who come in don't necessarily have the means to do that for applications which will possibly grow overnight to something they can't predict. CryptoKitties, for instance. Like if you had to pay for the allocation for that, and then suddenly overnight you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I'm broke. That's a hard hit to take, right? And what they're doing with Shintai is really cool. They've got a really cool system put into place, which makes sure that the developers don't just lose their bandwidth.
Can you talk about how does the Shintai market gain demand? Is it when the actual EOS network is at full capacity, or will the rental market be thriving before then?
It's hard to tell. It's hard to say. I would have to do some more research on that myself. Most of my advisory capacity there was on the token mechanics. So as far as that goes, I'm not quite sure.
So is this like a market making software, or is this a sort of smart contract based, allowing you to rent out your tokens peer-to-peer, decentralized, and transparent?
Right. It is decentralized. So as far as the mechanics of it go is, and this could be restated later, I'm kind of jumping the gun here. I'll give a brief overview. It's you stake tokens to an application. Every week that Shintai gives you a Shintai token for every token that you've staked. And at the end of the month, the application then has to pay you an amount to buy back those tokens, or they will lose you as kind of an investor.
Interesting. Very interesting. I think this is one of the this is going to be a popular piece of a popular dApp, because everyone has that expectation that they're going to be able to rent EOS tokens, and this is one of those projects that are making it even more exciting, and I hope
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I also believe, I'll go ahead.
No, please.
Well, I think they're also looking for help too. I think they're looking for developing help. They have the white paper out, and the GitHub is all set up. It's in the EOS Essentials GitHub, just like Scatter is. Mm-hmm. And so they're looking for developers who would like to work on Shintai. Everybody asks about, will Block 1 make a rental dApp? And just like a lot of answers, the answer could be no. Could be yes. We don't know for sure.
Right. And I don't think that it's important. Look, if it's the same with Scatter. If another company comes out with another extension, then it's only good. It means that there's going to be competition and more things will get done for the users. I mean, in the end, this is all for the community, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think obviously competition is what makes this all work, and it just blockchain greases the wheels, if you will.
Mm-hmm. So is EOS 42 a block producer or a potential block producer?
They're a potential block producer. Pretty sure they're based
out of London. They have,
London,
David P. You've seen him in the chat, and Onk42, I think, is the other gentleman's name.
And David Kalin.
Yeah,
2 Davids.
Double David. Better look out. We'll so moving forward to now, this might be up your alley there, Mr. James. So the United States, the SEC has cracked down on ICOs.
Right.
A bunch of subpoenas were issued by the SEC about 4 companies that have issued ICOs.
Right.
I'm a little hesitant. To use the word crackdown here. So they just issued subpoenas, right? to gather more information is what I'm sort of getting at.
It's really sad, honestly. Like to have something which is in this is the equivalent of them putting subpoenas onto internet, like not the internet companies, but the actual people who were trying to build the internet back when it was in its infancy. Because this is a new technology which could lead to anything, and it sucks to have people trying to not bring it down, but make it hard for people, make it hard for life. However, I don't like ICOs, and maybe they shouldn't be doing ICOs. They should find a better model for funding their company, selling something real, for instance. You know?
Sure, like an identity, for example.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't say it. You did.
No, yeah. And the word crackdown applies directly in the New York Times article.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately. Dozens of people
Shut down.
on the rise.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's what can you do about it? But I mean, we kind of expected it, right? Regulation is coming, and it probably in some ways could be good.
Right.
It's one of those things we don't know for sure, but as long as
that's what's scary, right? Fear of the dark.
Right. Yeah, and it seems like a lot of governments. I was talking to someone in Canada recently, and they were saying that the Canadian government is fairly welcoming of blockchain, and they're trying to treat blockchain transactions as barter transactions. They've taken the right steps. They sort of understand that it could be.
I think maybe they're building the wall on the wrong side of America right now, aren't they?
I guess we'll see. Yeah. Have you ever been over here? Come over to United States?
I lived there for a very long time.
Okay. Very nice. So let's see. Let's go over to the Ireo. We have 2 airdrops, I believe. Now the first one is Ireo. It's a healthcare DApp. There's been a lot of confusion around this particular airdrop, and we need to say first of all that you should never put your private keys into anything. It doesn't matter what they say or what kind of airdrop. You put your private keys in, you will lose your tokens or your money. So don't do that. I don't know the full details of this airdrop. Blue Jays, do you have more about Ireo?
Yeah, so Ireo, a bit of a general overview of Ireo is that they are looking to interact with healthcare records and healthcare sort of data on the blockchain, which makes sense. I don't know from a transparency point of view. Obviously, they don't want to have transparent health records, but it would make sense from a auditability standpoint. Obviously, the blockchain would have that sort of integrity there as a database that can act as something that would be very audible and traceable, especially when you're having many people have many set of records all over the world, and being able to manage that data. So from that standpoint, I think that's what they're trying to do. I mean, if I were to think about healthcare data on the blockchain, that's what I would think of. So I know they are doing an airdrop. I've interacted with their bot a little bit, and they were having some issues with they paused the airdrop and then they restarted it due to some abuse there with the reference number that you got. So the way they had it was if you had registered with a public key, that they would send you a reference number, and as people used your reference number, you would get more and more tokens. So that was a sort of a cool incentive and motivation to not only register your public address with them, but also use your social network to get more. It's in phases. I think it's currently going on as we speak. So I believe they have a few Telegram channels, and the one with the bot I thought was really cool. They have a Telegram bot, and you can once you paste in your public key in there, it'll give you back a reference code, but you can also push different buttons, and it tells you, and you, obviously at that point in time you're giving your public key to a bot, so I'm sure they may have some data from that, but at least it's not a person that you're dealing with. So from a security standpoint, that's what I know of it.
When it comes to healthcare records on EOS, I mean, EOS is a very public blockchain, so would there need to be some kind of private implementation of EOS? What are your thoughts there, Nathan?
I guess they would have to be encrypting it. Well, that's actually what they do in healthcare normally. There's a standard for it, is they have to encrypt it before it leaves the machine, and it can only be decrypted when it hits the other machine, which is actually a perfect candidate for key pairs. I'm not sure how they're doing it.
Okay. Yeah, and it's the other airdrop. We're going to eosdac.io. This just came out, I believe, yesterday, and they have a beautiful website. It's eosdac. It's eosdac.io. And so this is actually a block producer candidate, and they are airdropping their tokens. So the idea is they have 1.2 billion tokens total, and they're airdropping 75% of those tokens. And I think a lot of it will be based off of the April 15th snapshot, excuse me. And then they don't have the full details on how exactly the token will work. Now, up until the launch, until the election, the core team will continue to launch the block producer candidate itself. So once everything's launched, we'll be able to, as token holders, anyone who has these EOSDAC tokens, will be able to vote EOSDAC in for block producer candidate, and then they will be able to help run the day-to-day, I suppose. I'm looking to hear more information, but the website is beautiful, has a little bit of information. What are your thoughts on this, Blue Jays?
I thought this was cool. It's almost as if they are creating a block producer candidate for the token holders themselves. And I noticed we recognized some familiar faces as part of the project, and it was very interesting when I pinged one of them and asked them about it, and they said, hey, if you have EOS tokens, then this is pretty much your project, and that's interesting. I think I don't know how it would work. I would think anyways that if this is, I have a ownership stake in a block producer, then I would vote for them, right? You don't, right. And they wouldn't really need to pay dividends per se, or maybe they would. I don't know how this whole economy is going to work. This is very interesting development for sure.
From what I can tell, it also looks like they're going to help fund some applications as well, like things that they see are necessary for the blockchain, which I think is also really cool.
I noticed also they did mention something about possible dividends after infrastructure costs are covered and staffing costs and the like. And I guess that would incentivize. It brings up an interesting discussion because someone mentioned this earlier, how if you have a private, somebody who is privately funding, like for example, a rich donor who is helping a random block producer, I won't say any names, but say they give money to this block producer to get the operations up and running, it's very likely they have some stake and they probably receive some tokens as repayment as an investor. And therefore, is this actually that different? I mean, it's obviously there are many investors, and the investors aren't actually paying anything up front, but they're providing value to the token because they're trading it back and forth, because they value the token and want to be a part of a block producer in EOS. So it brings up an interesting discussion. And the last word I've heard is we'd all like to hear more about this. So anyone with EOS DAC?
So I was just about to say something, and then I realized it was a stupid statement, but I'm going to say it anyway. Kevin, this is like a DAC block producer, right? And you're a block producer, but you're also a decentralized autonomous community or collective, right? And obviously they named it EOS DAC. So,
well, and that's the thing is, and it actually decentralizes EOS even more. I mean, you have all these different token holders who are making the decisions, right? It's kind of the ultimate decentralization. So that's a good thing.
I'm wondering though if the tokens allow you, the EOS DAC token or whatever it's called, allows you any voting rights, or I didn't take a look at their white paper, so I couldn't tell. But I don't know if you guys have. Was there any voting privileges there?
From what I saw, the token page was fairly sparse, and actually the website appears to be down right now. Clearly, the millions of viewers who are watching right now, we've all hit the website at the same time. So hopefully that'll be up soon. But it's an interesting development. I think we all knew it was coming because a decentralized block producer candidate airdropped on the token holders themselves. That's a very strong candidate, obviously. Everybody has incentive to vote that candidate in, so that therefore their airdrops tokens have value, and it becomes free money, which everybody loves that. So I think, of course, that I think they'll be a real contender. I think this will be a very popular model at some point. And I'm also interested to hear about the liability. I know that's not a very exciting topic, but I wonder in some jurisdictions how that would work out. We just talked about the subpoenas in the U.S. and airdrops tokens. We need more answers on that too. So try not to bring up more questions than we answer
guys,
here. But
I'm gonna sign off.
okay, thank you.
I'll continue watching though, but I need to go smoke.
That sounds good. Thank you very much for coming in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Nathan.
Yeah.
And thank you to the two admins in chat too, Top K-pop and Katie.
Indeed. Thank you for keeping everybody in line. That helps. Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night.
You too.
So, and we'll move on to there's a new block producer candidate, or actually this is a whole new chain, I believe, in Korea. And Blue Jays, you translated the whole the announcement, which was in Korean, and you put it on the forums.
Yeah.
We'll put a link to that in the chat.
Yeah, I've asked Top K-pop to put it in there, or Katie to put it in there. So first off, I mean, this looks pretty cool. Did you get a chance to look at it?
I'm looking at it right now. I didn't look at it earlier.
Well, let me give you I've had a chance to look at it, and the post on Steemit, the one in Korean, is their official announcement, and it sort of went under the radar here. I think Korea is, and I've always had this opinion that they are one of the most forward-looking countries, like Japan, in this space, and what they're doing is very interesting here. They've had their official block producer announcement, but with this, they sort of add a few more pieces of information. Now, I didn't translate this. I just used Google Translate. Maybe, and you guys can see it in the forums. I posted the Google translation there. The links will be provided in the chat. And if you go to the translation, you'll see a couple pieces of interesting information. First off, I really like their slogan, "At dawn, look to the east." I think that's really cool. What do you think about that, Kev?
Well, of course, I mentioned this in chat a few days ago. The beautiful picture always gets me on the website, and it does really, the statement and the picture together, they bring it all together for you. But it is a nice statement. Korea, you said it well, Korea is very advanced when it comes to technology. I think they're going to continue moving up the ladder when it comes to innovation, and obviously with Samsung, they have a huge conglomerate there, and they have plenty of money dedicated towards new technology. I know that there's been other cryptocurrency projects who were rumored to be, and I won't name them, but they're rumored to be the actual Korea chain. And my question is, because this is an announcement basically saying that they are going to have their own Korean chain. They're going to connect all their healthcare facilities to have shared records. They're basically going to make everything way more fluid, I guess you could say, than it already is. So the insurance will be handled through blockchain, currency, everything else. Of course, this is probably a little ways off, but it looks like this is an extremely interesting development. Japan, I know, is also moving very quickly towards a national cryptocurrency. And I've heard numbers at 2020, they're hoping to have it ready for the Olympics. This is all news that I read about a couple months ago, so things could have changed, as always. What are your thoughts there, Blue Jays?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, to be able to use it in that way, just like Estonia, right? They're a smaller country, and they're moving in that direction too. But Korea is an enormous country in terms of population and size and economy, and to be able to adopt these things at this pace and this EOSys, I'm reading from their translation here, is the first EOS block producer candidate in Korea, and they're looking to carry out various education and incubation programs. And there's some translation mistakes there. I think one of their incubation programs is not meatballs. So lost in translation. The word meatballs probably means something else in Korean than it does here. So the other thing is they've announced a sort of an exchange, and I don't know what this means. I would like to get some more information. Maybe if anybody who has any more information can post it in the forums. But it looks like they're going to have an exchange, an EOS-based exchange as well. And like you said, and you sort of alluded to earlier, Kev, like you, if they have their own jurisdiction use cases, I think it says in here somewhere that they're going to have. I don't know. That would mean like a local chain or something like that, right? Or something that's not part of the main chain. So.
Yeah, and it makes sense too. I mean, we kind of figured that there would be multiple private chains. A national chain, I think, would be amazing. And like I said earlier, we've heard about that in the past, how Korea would like to head in that direction. I know in the U.S. that certainly would not be a bad idea. Could streamline our healthcare system, and many other issues. They should eliminate a lot of middlemen as well. So, I mean, it's too early to tell, and certainly I'd like to see a better translation. This is decent, but meatballs is in there, and I don't believe they're issuing meatballs on the blockchain. Last I heard that
something got lost in the translation there. So
maybe Nathan can come up with meatballs on the blockchain. He seems to be able to do pretty much everything else. So we'll have to ask him next time we see him. But
another interesting comment that they made here was that whole dividend payout. Rewarding their voters. They made a comment on it here, so that they're definitely in tune with the current issues, and they're chiming in. So take a look at the post and comment on it. I think this is a very interesting development globally.
I agree. Yeah, and I agree. And of course, the block producer discussion. We'll get into that in just a moment. We have so the candidates are starting to show themselves. I believe we have 32 responses already to the candidacy form, and probably we'll get about 5 or 6 more, I would guess, before the deadline comes up, which at this point we are exactly 24 hours away from the deadline itself to submit your information. If you'd like to be in the first EOS Go block producer report, it is going to be a randomized list of names. We've decided not to do the check marks just to give everybody more time, and also we heard feedback about how there's no way to fully understand expense reports and budget and scaling plan. There's a lot of unknowns right now, of course. So we want to make it easy on everybody. However, we also want to meet community demand, which says, I mean, who are these folks, right? I mean, in 3 months, we're going to hand the keys to a bunch of strangers, and they're going to be in charge of millions of dollars per year. And they're also going to hold a significant slice of power on the EOS blockchain. So at this point, learning about these companies and starting to understand their metamorphosis as they go towards a launch would be helpful for everybody. So that's why we're hoping to bring forth all this information, and we are very thankful so far to everybody who has come forward and offered that information. It will help everybody.
And Kevin, I think one of the reasons why we're doing this is not only for the community to get to know these block producers. It's not like other cryptocurrencies. You have these miners that are anonymous out in some place, and they're providing the service. You're going to know about your 21, and you're going to vote for them, and you need to know what they stand for, and you need to know what they bring to the table, and that's what we're starting to do here.
It also helps block producers themselves too, because block producers can look at what the other folks are doing, and they can say, oh, that's a great idea, I think I need to do that too. Things like setting up a bank account that will be crypto friendly. That's an important step. I mean, if you try, say you have $250,000 worth of EOS and you sell them and then you send them over to your bank account, and you're a brand new business and your bank goes, well, where'd this come from? You know, it's $250,000. All of a sudden your bank account is being closed, anti-money laundering laws. So there's a lot of things to think about. I know that it's a very challenging process. I respect what the block producers are going through, because it is, especially with the limited information, it's very hard to really prepare for something you're not entirely sure about. So thank you guys for really working hard to make EOS as great as it'll be, because you will be the ones who run EOS for us. So
cool. Well, let's talk about meetups, Kevin. Before we go to the short clip with the EOS Rise and EOS Dallas, did you have anything to mention about the Hong Kong meetup?
So actually at Shenzhen in China, they're holding a meetup. I have a few here that, especially on our forums. And of course, if you have a meetup, we always say this, but please let us know so we can announce it on the show. And we are also, you'll see Steve here in a moment, Steve Floyd. He came on and did a pre-recorded hello, and he's just offering anybody to come out to the EOS Rise meetup. And So if you'd like to do that, or if you'd like to just have us announce it for you on the air, please let us know. You can reach out to us. So Shenzhen, China. They're having a meetup March 24th. And it looks like they have a meetup page. We'll put that link in here as well. They're going to have an introduction to the Evolution Journal of Blockchain Technology. They don't have a speaker listed right now, but I know Shenzhen is a up and coming area. They've talked about how it's kind of like the Silicon Valley of China, Shenzhen, and also big. It's a big place for expats. I mean, if you want to go to China, if you're interested in living there, apparently Shenzhen is the place to be. We've talked a lot with Sheldon, and he is, I believe he's in Singapore at school, but he is from Shenzhen originally, and he talks very highly about his city. So
it does sound like a big hub over there of exciting stuff going on, and this would be a very, very good meetup to attend to if you're able to.
Absolutely. And also we have to talk about Blacksburg, Virginia. Dan's talk is coming up March 20th. That's a Tuesday, I believe, and he is giving a talk at Virginia Tech. The 20th is a Tuesday. So he'll be talking, I believe he said, for 3 hours, and refreshments will be provided. It's an intro to blockchain. So for a lot of us, it may be very elementary. However, listening to Dan talk will be a thrill. So I know a lot of folks are going. There is a sign up. You have to reserve a spot, basically. There's a Google form that you have to fill out on the Facebook page. But this is actually a meetup that was run by a group, Virginia Tech group, and somehow they were able to have Dan Larimer speak at their meetup about blockchain for 3 hours. I mean, congratulations to them. That would be, I think this will be a packed event, and I know that there's a lot of EOS fans. It looks like who will be going out after the event. It's called Blockchain and Beers. So if you are wanting to come along, or if you're going to be in the area, come join us. I know I'm going to be there. I'm going up. I can't wait.
Oh, you're going to be there. Great.
I'm going. Yep. And if you want to come, Blue Jays, I know it's last minute, but you should. I know it's a little further for you than for me, but
yeah, you never know.
Never know. Blue Jays, he's like a ghost.
I'm gonna fly north.
Is that what? Are you? Wait, you're not supposed to do that, man. You're supposed to get in your V and go south.
Yeah. Sometimes I like to go north.
Okay. We've got Hong Kong meetup as well. I think you just put the link up here, Blue Jays. Can you tell us more about that?
Not too sure. I'm not sure about.
Oh, actually, excuse me. It's Bangkok. That's the one you put up here.
Yes, yeah. So the Shenzhen one should be the Hong Kong, and the Bangkok one I'm not too sure about. But feel free to click on it. And if anybody from this community has any more information, please post it to our EOS Go forums, so that way we can partake in whatever you guys did down there and see what your community is about. We have a great meetup section in the EOS Go forums, so feel free to post all your pictures and videos and content over there. It's just great to see all of these places around the world just come up and just gather and talk about cool things, you know.
Oh man, I mean, you're speaking my language right now, Blue Jays. And also I should bring out something a little off topic. However, this amazing video came out from the EOSphere group. They were in Australia, and they're in the midst of a 5-city tour right now. They're going to Perth, Melbourne, I guess you should say, and Sydney, and a couple others. And they're doing EOS meetups in each city. So they're filling a role that needs to be filled, and they're the ones who are doing it all in Australia. They are a block producer candidate, and they posted an amazing animation video explaining the role of an EOS block producer. And it's more of an introductory video to how EOS is beneficial for everyone. So not just for the block producers, but also how the token holders, how all the interests are aligned, all the incentives are aligned. So this is a great video. And if you are looking to help explain blockchain to someone, I would certainly say add this to your repertoire. You know, start with the Explain EOS to Your Grandma infographic that we put out about 2 weeks ago. You can find that on the forums and on our Steam and everything else. And then also this video too. So we're going to link that. And we are actually going to talk to those guys. We're excited. It's 2 weeks from today. They will be on the show. And I believe they're a team of 3. And so they're going to tell us all about their meetups, and they're going to talk about their history and their heritage. And it should be pretty exciting. I know I'm having a great time talking to people all around the world who are sharing common interest with me. And I know that our community keeps on growing. So exciting times as always.
Yeah. So Kevin, let's talk about, we have, like you said, Steve Floyd, we had recorded something for us to take a look at. So we're just going to play a little clip of him, and then we'll come back, and then we'll move to the second part of the Thomas Q&A video. How about that?
This is Steve Floyd with EOSDallas.com. I'm a founder of the EOS Dallas Meetup Group, and we're doing an event during Token Fest in San Francisco. It's going to be Wednesday, March 14th at Jackson Square WeWork from 4:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. We've got some great people speaking. We've got at least 3 or 4 regional meetup group organizers signed up right now. And this is something that we're going to probably do at least twice a year at different places to help the community that Dallas is kind of leading the charge for. You know, a lot of the New York guys have been amazing and kind of, you know, bringing the community together around block production and just the larger thinking around governance. And our kind of addition to that, and where we're hoping to add value to the community, is to help the meetup group organizers themselves and the community, you know, find resources for this stuff and come up with a framework of best practices for, you know, how we present ourselves in the community, because, you know, we need to be the gold standard.
Okay, so that was a short message from Steve Floyd, who's doing something interesting, isn't he?
I mean, it is interesting. He's based from Dallas, but he has a partner, and they are doing this meetup in San Francisco, and it's considered a national meetup, as you heard. This is going to be, so we expect a lot of sort of national summits, or international summits, I should say, in terms of everybody coming together at some big gathering, maybe once or twice a year, the EOS gathering. And maybe he's going for that angle in the US, in San Francisco. And EOS Dallas is an up and coming, I believe, block producer. And so he's just looking to sort of add value to the EOS network in any way he can. And we certainly, it was exciting talking to him. We got to talk to him for a little while after the announcement as well.
Yeah, pretty cool. And if you guys, he's on Telegram, so if you have any more information, link to him. And obviously there's the EOSRise.com website for more information.